another episode of Nikola Tesla never said that or ever asserted that. If anybody's not aware of it, Nikola Tesla was a jokester a lot of the time and a showman. They kind of go together. And one of the things Nikola Tesla did before he died was he left behind as collateral something he said was a earth-changing device, really playing it up, salesmanship, carnival barker style. What he left behind was a electronical device that many people who are in the business know about. He left a substitution box. Depending on who you ask about it, it was a resistor or a capacitor substitution box. The point is, it's a device used for testing things and for establishing what should be the value of a particular item, or to compare them using a comparing circuit, Wheatstone Bridge or whatever. And that's what it was. It wasn't an earthquake machine or whatever. His personal effects were picked up not by some secret military group or Illuminati, but by a relative of his that took it back and didn't know what the fuck he had his hands on. It was left behind as collateral for rent, semi-jokingly, to the people who owned the building, just in case he wasn't able to pay rent. Nikola Tesla died a pauper, but he had some possessions, and some of these possessions were things he made. This would have been a piece of equipment that maybe he wasn't able to sell or didn't want to, and pictures of what it probably looked like show that it was a well-made, very pretty-looking thing made out of wood and brass, and most geeks, if you're not aware of it, are kind of obsessed with brass, wood, and well-made things. We begin to appreciate grandfather clocks, even if we shouldn't really touch them. Local Arizona high school teacher Joey Grether found online on the internet, this is not ancient history, Nikola Tesla's signature, because you can look up Nikola Tesla's signature. Did a bad copy of one of Tesla's documents, modified it, used some image editing skills he had as a teacher and some software, found a neat-looking parchment image to put all of this onto, and removed the color out of his work. Joey Grether, a teacher in Arizona, had created something, and he made a full-color poster. He decided to make possibly the worst photoshopping attempt I've ever seen, and put his project onto a piece of paper, making it look like Nikola Tesla's work. He wrote up a 500-word explanation of his own, added it to it, and then made it into an image of what would look like a parchment you might find buried in some hidden place. This is the magically, I discovered it in a barn out in Iowa story. He sent this image to a guy to let social media magic transpire. There's a guy who did a hoax on the net. These are hoax news sites, satire, and also websites that purport to tell the truth when they obviously are not doing a hoax, but just lying. This is a person who supposedly did the Banksy Revealed hoax. He claimed his tool for students, which was a diagram on mathematics relationships, which is very similar to the one that's found in music, and for resonance, and for all of the other diagrams you might have found, math wheels, for things like doing multiplication tables, or figuring out antenna lengths, or resonance effects, or inverse square laws, or 100 other things. These are devices and artistic works that have been invented countless times. They're all variations on the same thing, a two-dimensional representation, because it's easier to print things out, of some complicated subject, creating a cheat sheet. And it was done by Joey Grether, a high school teacher in Arizona, for his kids, and he wanted to make it take off. So instead of taking credit for himself, he obviously copyright and patented it or whatever, or not, or just having made it on this day, let's say, anything done later would just be considered a derivation of his own patent. So even if he made it claim to be Nikola Tesla's work and some secret, he could always just say, yeah, I sent this to myself in an envelope as a poor man's copyright. All copyrights are poor man's copyright. My videos are born copywritten. I don't have to apply for copyright. I don't even have to work hard at it. I can flag the shit out of people and take the money from their accounts by taking it out of their Google account, for instance. So this happened when? 1940s? 2012. In fact, he has attributed the idea to 2012, December 12th, because he likes the number 12, as well as 3, 6, 9, and then 12. He created a math wheel based on 3, 6, 9, and 12. However, it's easier to remember the magic, the resonance, the vortex math of 3, 6, 9. For him, the focus and fixation was on the number 12 primarily. Nikola Tesla is notorious for having obsessions over various odd things. He fixated on things. He also memorized rules of thumb that worked most of the time. If you're not aware of it, if you're looking at a square, and it's 1 inch by 1 inch, the diagonal from corner to corner, if it's a real square, will be the square root of 2, which is around 1.414. That's not the absolute number. In fact, it's a poor numbering, but it works well enough that I can do that math in my head a little faster. 141% of the X or Y. If you're not aware of it, most solids like gunpowder that burn into a gas, not just, this will also work on liquids that burn. Most of them expand to a volume of 1,000 to 1, which works out to 10 by 10 by 10. 10 times 10 is 100, 10 times 100 is 1,000. 1,000 times the volume would be 10 times the width, 10 times the height, and 10 times the depth. If you use a 1 cubic centimeter mass of propellant in a shotgun shell, it will consume a 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter cube of gas space. That's not accounting for the heating up factor, or dieseling as some people call it, which is not really the correct word, that causes it to take up more space, which is the reason a shotgun, if it's driven off of something that burns totally into a gas, is more efficient than fucking black powder. These are rules of thumb. They're not absolutes. They're not magic, Fibonacci, or other kind of numbers. It's not vortex math. It's not the golden ratio. It's just these are the numbers you end up finding when you deal with reality and do a few things. They are not actually 1,000 to 1 or 3 or 6 or 9 to ratio. The tiny little decimal places people ignore are the reason pi isn't 3. And the square root of 2 isn't the number I quoted at all. And in fact, I have to write it down or look it up again because I always get it wrong because I have a dyslexia problem when I say numbers sometimes. It doesn't matter if you like the answer. It's going to be based on facts when you come to this channel. You already knew that. Joey Grether, December 12, 2012, 12-12-12, obsession of his own, made a multiplication map that was based on 3, 6, 9, and 12. He attributed this, and various people have since then, to various coincidentals and rounding off errors found in Fibonacci sequences, golden ratios, and calling it vortex math, and especially Tesla vortex math, sold it. Once he finally fessed up to this not being absolutely the truth, meaning he lied about Tesla having anything to do with it, people still used it, and variations of this have been around for a long time. Figuring out the air pressure and ballistics for a certain altitude is on a little wheelie thing you can buy. These things used to be called sheet calculators or 2D calculators. You can find them all over the internet because all of them were copyrighted in the 1800s or even before in most cases, and others later on were variations or derivations of them. If you make a patent based on a patent that's expired, it's still your patent. And that's what Joey did. The mystery of the Tesla hoax. Expired. Patents. Patents are the beginnings of ideas, not the ends, is a quote someone left on my channel. I'm stealing that. But I'll give the attribution in the form of one of many archives below leading to him saying this. An old hoax by a high school teacher has caused people to look up shit constantly. Well, this really peaked on a certain day. 2018, April 1st, yet another hoax spinning website that's no longer visible. I can't even find archives of it. reposted the idea that Nikola Tesla said the following. Now, I want to point out something. You can use Google Trends to find out how many times a person has made a video or a web page with these exact quotes. They do not show up. The story has been milling around for a very long time, right? Because that was a real quote by Nikola Tesla. It wasn't pulled out of someone's ass after 2010 or 2011. Some of these aren't even associated with this actual work this math teacher did that ended up turning into a hoax as well. 3, 6, and 9. The goose drank wine. The monkey chewed tobacco on the streetcar line. The line broke, the monkey got choked, and they all went to heaven in a little rowboat. The only reference you find that people can find in history, 369, from the era when Nikola Tesla was walking the earth. Because Nikola Tesla was alive a pretty long period of time. People like saying that he was murdered or something. People have recorded his death a long time before he died. He lived a long life, and it was pretty miserable at the end, because he was an idealist that wouldn't take no for an answer and wouldn't compromise. He came up with a lot of brilliant things, but he was an idiot in many ways, just like every one of us. He's one of my heroes. But he's my hero because he was a normal, healthy human being that just got stuck. He's not as brilliant as you might think. He's more brilliant. But he also figured out after a time, he said himself that he did this to himself. He also told people, after they thought he was dead and they could make up stories about him, I'm alive and you lied about me. He would go around debunking other people. If and or when did Nikola Tesla say any of the following things? He had a compulsive behavior about multiples of various numbers because he memorized his math tables. That's not an obsession, that's a learned behavior. The key to the universe. Let's read these. If you only knew the magnificence of the 369, then you would have a key to the universe, and variations of this. No matter how you type this in, you cannot find this attributed anywhere easily on the net. Well, that's a suppression of the conspiracy and blah. No, I mean literally there isn't anything. It got deranked. The last time I did a video on this, it also had no ranking. I mean, there isn't one. This is a famous quote by Nikola Tesla that would have been put on GeoCities, which is the home of batshit crazy, yarn on the wall drawings with aliens and your mom. Never there. You can search GeoCities because people did a search engine for GeoCities before it went down. Non-existent. But this is a famous quote by Nikola Tesla that obviously people would reproduce. Books, nothing before a certain year. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Nikola Tesla is aware of the fact that frequency is a symptom of a vibration of kind. And radio frequencies are energy varying over time. This is not something that Nikola Tesla would say, or was it? You're not going to find this quote in any of his works. Well, we don't look through his works because they were suppressed. No, most of his shit was published because he patented every motherfucking thing he could. He was notorious for being in newspapers. Virtually everything that bastard ever said or did is written down somewhere. People misquote Nikola Tesla are the same people who misquote the Bible while showing you the page they're misquoting. They don't read shit. Oh, I'm guilty of that? All right. Have I antagonized you Tesla freaks? Look up these expressions and find an older version. The guy was born a long time ago. Find when he fucking said it. Prove it. Not some website that said they have a book, but they for some reason can't tell you the name of the book or when it was made. Right. That really isn't something that's an absolute, oh, bullshit statement right there. Nikola Tesla did not say these statements, and he didn't come up with this assertion unless you show it occurring before the internet, before someone could lie about him. No, he didn't make an earthquake machine or some antimatter energy something or other that he left after he died. It was a fucking capacitor substitution box or a resistor or inductor substitution box. He had several of them because he had to. It's part of his damn job. That's like having a multimeter or a wrench. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. Prove this happened or it didn't.